What's going on, everyone? Today we have a very special knife from Holt Bladeworks. These just are coming out. This is kind of one of the first runs that my brother was able to get kind of right out of the gate and sent it up to me to check out. This is the Holt Bladeworks Haptic. Very cool knife. If you're familiar with the Spectre, I think you're going to like the Haptic. Very similar. The construction is basically identical. It's just a little bit smaller size and a little bit different blade shape, some different milling, stuff like that. My Spectre is the V4, so it's the liner lock, and the Haptic is also the liner lock. So let's just start off and just zoom right in. We'll get to specs and stuff here in a minute, but let's just kind of walk you through. This one is all nude. It's got a different pivot, which I kind of like this one a little bit better than the one on my Spectre. But they're both, I mean, again, they function exactly the same. The milling on this is fantastic. A little bit different than the Spectre because it's got a different, it's overall a little bit different shape. Let's just kind of bring them in side by side a little bit. So a little bit different shapes. The milling patterns are different. Just do a kind of a side by side here. And we'll do some more side by sides as we go. The clips are drastically different. But all in all, very similar in nature. I mean, just great. Even just in the nude configuration, just the tumbled titanium, it's just fantastic. A little bit of milling up here on the backspacer just for some detail. The clip is different than the Spectre. It's a little bit more sculpted or contoured, if you will. Works just as great. I mean, the clips work fantastic on these. Nice liner lock there. Now, the blade shape is a little bit different. Very similar stonewash finish. It is M390. This one is completely sterile blade. There is no Holt logo on it, on the front or the back. Very clean. I love where they put the blade steel. Just there, out of the way. Nothing fancy. All around, just a great looking knife. Is liner lock. Has the detent nub rather than a detent ball, much like Brian Nadeau's designs. And it's a nested liner just on this one side, so you can unbolt it here in the back and just replace the liner. It does have some milling on the inside for weight reduction. And it's finished. It's not just a cutout hole, but they've done that milling pattern in the cutout also, which again is just that next level of detail in my mind. They could have easily just left it as a cutout, but they went the extra mile to really just mill out those cutouts so that they just looked finished. And I really do appreciate that. I think that just is that next level. So some of the basic specs are 4¼ inches closed with a beautiful, amazing drop shut action. 4¼ closed. 7 3/8 long overall. The blade, again, from the edge of the scale to the tip is 3.22 with an edge of 3.124. Blade steel's M390. The blade thickness is 0.135. Overall thickness of 0.457 minus the clip, and 3.7 ounces. And in comparison to the Spectre is 4 ounces overall, so a little bit heavier. 4.5 inches closed and 8 inches overall with a 3.57-inch blade. So it's just a hair bigger overall dimensions. And let's just do some size comparisons here, kind of butt to butt. And you can see where it's just a little bit shorter overall in the handle and in the blade. So the overall package is, significantly shorter, almost 3/4 of an inch, but it still works really well. I personally think I prefer the Spectre size a little better. It just fits in my hand. I don't even know that it fits in my hand better. It's what I'm more comfortable and used to, I think. As you guys that have followed my channel know, I'm into the bigger overbuilt knives. This one is also just as drop shutty, but I need to take this. This one's a little dirty, so it's not quite as smooth. I need to pull this apart and lube it up a little bit, but it functions just as drop shutty as this one. The action, I cannot say how awesome it is. It just fires. The detent is perfect. Drop shut action. If you're into the whole drop shutty thing, and I've talked about this in some other videos, is drop shut awesome or is it just okay? I tend to be in the middle. I like drop shut, but I also just like a smooth shutting that's not going to chop your fingers, right? So I kind of go to both worlds. Let's do a couple of other just normal size comparisons, as I typically will do. And we'll just leave this guy out too, because I think the milling and the overall look of these is just fantastic. Just in general. Here, let me line them up so they're a little bit level, maybe. Here it is next to the Sharpie. And we'll just run through some of my normal ones that I pull out. The Spyderco Delica. And because I have it here on the table, we'll do a couple of ones that are a little bit bigger, just for some size comparisons. The FIF 23. Let me move these up here a little bit. I don't normally have 3 out here on a table, so kind of got to move things around a little bit. And again, the perspective is a little bit odd because I'm looking kind of at an angle. And we'll just go with this one, the Chris Reeve Large Sebenza 21. I think that gives you kind of a good comparison here. The large Sebenza 21 is right about the same size as the Spectre, just a hair longer. So, but that kind of gives you a good idea on the size of the haptic. I am going to put a link in the description to my Holt playlist, where I actually did a review on a different Spectre, the V3, I think. It was one of the frame lock ones. I think it was a 3. I did a review of that, number 404, that I got loaned in from a friend, as well as a disassembly of that one. So I have not done the video on this particular one yet. I just noticed. So I will do that, and I will probably do a video taking this one apart because, well, I need to anyway, so I might as well film it and add that to the playlist. This one is perfect. It doesn't need to come apart. The construction of both are virtually identical that I can tell from looking inside and whatnot. So stay tuned, and I will do a video taking apart the V4 Spectre, which will then correlate to this. But this is really an awesome knife. I think it's getting a lot of buzz right now because they're brand new and just starting to hit the streets, as it were. There's a little bit of a difference I'm noticing too, is the jimping is a little bit different between the two. This is I don't know if it's more aggressive. It looks more aggressive, but they're both equally about the same in traction-wise. The pivots, as I mentioned earlier, are just a little bit different design. The haptic is sterile. There's nothing on the blade. I really do like the swedge that they put on the blade. Just aesthetically, I think it looks really nice. And when it's closed, it kind of gives a little bit of a different look, where it kind of thins out in the middle and then broadens up at the tip. And that's just, the blade actually doesn't do that. It's just the way the swedge is ground, which I do like. There is some jimping on the flipper tab, much like the Spectre. I think they're probably virtually identical. And they feel the same. They really do. I like the fact that they put the blade steel here. On the Spectre, they had it back over here. Either way is fine with me, but I'm really digging the completely sterileness of this whole knife. There's no markings anywhere except for that M390. That's it. I think that's awesome. Everybody knows what it is. They don't need to put the name on it. They don't necessarily need to put their logo on it. I think they did a really great job. And again, this is custom made. They make them one by one. They anodize them one by one. They're doing it in their, house, the garage, basement, husband and wife team. And I think they're killing it. They're hard to get a hold of. Well, not the owners, but the knives are hard to get a hold of because the supply or the demand far exceeds the supply. They just can't bang these out fast enough. And that's the problem. And their table prices are perfect. Okay. I think this was almost $800. This one was $800. This one might have been a little bit less, but it's in that 800-ish range, which I think for what you're getting is totally acceptable and good. The secondary market for the Spectres, I don't know that any of these have sold on the secondary market. The secondary market for the Spectres is crazy out of this world and kind of silly. They're not worth, it's an $800-900 knife all day long every day. It's not a 16, 15, 16, 17, 18, $2,000 knife. They have made some in Damasteel and Damascus with some exotic materials. I've seen some with a Damascus clip, things like that. Those are going to be more than your $800-900. But they're still certainly not $2,000. So, but you get what you pay for. It's going to sell for whatever somebody's willing to pay. And because they are so elusive and hard to get, you're going to pay if you really want one on the secondary market. I got mine through a lottery that my brother won. He already had one. He knew that I wanted one, so we were entering lottos together, hoping one of us would win, knowing that I would most likely just buy it from him if he were to win. So that's how I got my Spectre. So I paid table price for it, and I'm totally good with that. And it's keeper. I never say never. You never know what you're going to sell. But yeah, at some point, maybe. Who knows? Do not reach out. It's not for sale right now. Nor is my brother selling his haptic. So these ones aren't for sale. Don't try to weasel them out of us. All right. So there you have it, guys. The brand new Holt Bladeworks Haptic. And they're now discontinued Spectre model. Thanks for watching, everybody. I know we kind of ran a little bit long on this one, but I do greatly appreciate your time. Have yourselves a fantastic day. Be sure to check out the link down below to the Holt playlist, which will do a full review on the Spectre, as well as a disassembly on the Spectre, and we'll be adding the disassembly of the V4 Spectre to that list shortly. All right? Thanks, everyone. Have a fantastic day. We'll see you on the next one.